So the Zaizi, who we are, we're about 70 people based in Hammersmith in London. We also have an office in Colombo in Sri Lanka. Our focus is very much around data-driven services, predominantly in the public sector, or as you see in the next slide or so, we do work outside the public sector. But our goal as a business is to help organisations optimise their use of data, predominantly through the delivery of technology services, but increasingly around the kind of the business analytics and the insights part as well. And that's what we do, that's our remit, and let's say you'll see some of our customers on the next slide, which is here. So people we work with, traditionally quite central government for us. People like Ministry of Justice, Home Office, Department of Education, ICSA, which is the Independent Inquiry into Child Sexual Abuse, and then in local government, people like Bristol City Council, Hull, and then some commercial organisations as well. But our focus is very much on that local central government part of the public sector, including obviously health, NHS, and those aspects. That's where we work. And that's it. What we want to do, our aim is to help public sector organisations improve the way they find, access, manage and use data. The fundamental goal that if you can do that, you can make better business decisions. We had an event in Newcastle yesterday and we were talking a lot about how data can be used to shape services, shape the way they're actually going to be delivered. So great innovative services, an agenda across all the government at the moment, and fundamentally, importantly, save money. So everything goes together, innovative service design, hopefully providing better services, but also fundamentally saving money in the process. So that's what we try to help. And we do believe, and if you're here today, I'm guessing you kind of also believe it, that getting data right is going to be absolutely critical for delivering public sector services in the future. You could argue also all services, the same issues to some extent, feed into the private sector. But getting data right, you do that, opportunity opens up to do things differently. I'm sure some of the examples we talked about today highlight that. It's got an opportunity with everything in life. There's opportunities and challenges. You get your data right, you get your data in the form where you can actually start using it as a business tool, then the opportunity is there to bring the data scientists, the data part of the organisation right into the heart of policy and decision making. Some of the examples that are now happening in the UK, data is very much embedded in the decision making. We had some people from Sunderland City Council yesterday in their data group who were working inside some of their service lines to make sure that there's that kind of virtuous circle between the feedback from the service delivery, for example in social care, looking at the data and using data analytics to actually shape the service. You kind of almost like continual service design. You can start to use the data analytics for predictive modelling, things like that. I mean, lots of talk about how the public sector needs to move from reactive to preventative type approaches. I'm sure a number of you know things like the Troubled Families initiatives. I do have a number of local authorities there where you're trying to identify very early on the signs of a family might have to have issues, and by preventative actions you can start to tackle much earlier, and through that fundamentally save money, although ultimately of course what you end up doing is saving a lot of the bad things that actually happen in those situations by early interventions. So a lot of work around how analytics of services, of data for services actually help shape more preventive initiatives. So we talk more about that today, and then ultimately joined up government, starting to join together both central and local government services and health, so you get a much more seamless approach to people in localities and that kind of thing. Some sort of buildings in that area. So those are the opportunities. The challenges, it'll be interesting what you've all got, some of your thoughts on these from your organisations and practical experience, and we'll talk about some of these when we get to a breakout session towards the end of the session. Challenges we see, often a lack of buy-in from senior managers and politicians. Again, we were talking about it yesterday, and I think it's often not buy-in, maybe not the right word, it might be prioritisation. I mean, data is often on the agenda, but everybody's busy, organisations are under a lot of challenges and stress at the moment. Data may be on the agenda, but not high enough up. And so, are there ways of getting it on the table and showing what it can deliver? Again, we talked yesterday in our event about how probably the best way of doing that is practical examples. Again, we'll talk about some of those today. There's a challenge of sharing integrated data, often more a cultural and human thing than actual technological. I work with councils who've found problems dealing with other parts of the public sector, purely because there's cultural aspects. Health and social care, not necessarily wanting to work with technology, not wanting to work with third sector organisations, etc. So there's a cultural and human element behind things like that. And then a big thing at the moment, lots of things all over the kind of sort of media and general industry at the moment in terms of lack of skills. Are there enough skills in the country, the right skills, to actually drive forward in general? Again, it'd be interesting to get views later on from your organisations as to whether that you see that challenge. So that's what we are as an organisation, the opportunities we see and some of the challenges we hope to address. We've worked a little bit, and I'm sure some of you here have as well, worked with Nesta, which is a kind of a funded organisation. They're given basically established through the National Lottery, given funding, and they do a lot of research and analysis and to help showcase how innovation can start to change services. And so we work particularly around local government, where they've done some work with a number of local authorities to start showcasing particular examples where data can start to drive new service delivery. And I won't talk too much about that today because we have a very practical example from Steve and Blackburn, who's here from Leeds City Council, so I'll let him talk because they're far more practical experience than I. But I'll walk through some of the examples and then I'll be handing over to Steve after that. So well, Nesta, if you haven't dealt with Nesta, I'm sure most of you have in fairness, but if you haven't come across Nesta, well worth going to their website, well worth signing up for updates, lots of just nothing else really interesting information that's going on, generally in tech, in public sector, but particularly around data and those sort of things at the moment, so do give them a look. They produce reports, again these are accessible from their website, so things about the wise council, how council, for example, become a much more intelligent organisation, going back to that kind of preventive mode of operation rather than reacting to needs. So they showcased, again, I would encourage you to go and get their documents and things like that, but they showcased a number of examples in the UK of organisations innovating around the use of data. And I'm just going to literally in a few, well, probably less than a few minutes, walk through some examples and then hand over to Steve much longer about the one in Leeds. Some of the examples, well, some of the things they've seen as the opportunities in, particularly local government, I think probably applies to most public sector organisations. Some of the opportunities, testing what works, use data. We talked yesterday very much about iterative design and development. Using the data in real time, having it in the right state means that you can test your service delivery and what the impact is on a continuous basis. So you can then start to redesign your services and adjust much quicker to trends, and to some extent then get into the predictive area when you can actually start to think ahead of the game, think about, okay, how does the service need to react to upcoming things. So the opportunity is kind of testing what works, iterative design, turning a case management system. You'll be gathering all this data, it just sits there. How can you actually start to make your case management systems much more intelligent for you? How can you actually bring out the value in that more effectively? Become more outcome driven, particularly in the service delivery element. Identify much earlier the pressures you're going to see. So again, the data will often give you early indicators of where your pressure points are going to be to start to see how you can draw that out of your data sets. To some extent, etc. There's a number of things here that you can see where the use of data can really change the way you do it. Obviously, it's kind of turning the council in this case from being inside focused to being outside focused and using data to really turn that into impact. An important one, I guess, depends on what sort of organisation you are, certainly one that's topped a lot of people's agenda is the issue of fraud and error. I've certainly worked with some councils in the past who, if not regularly, certainly have fines from DWP, for example, for wrong benefits payments, or were under the scrutiny of the ICO for how they were managing their data. I'm sure there's other examples. And that's just fines and things. There's also the general bleeding of finances just from not knowing what you should be getting in from people or what you should be paying out. So again, there's an opportunity through well-crafted, well-managed data to bring that under control and actually have it as an asset rather than a risk, if that makes sense. So certainly things like fraud and error can be taken care of now through well-crafted technology and fundamentally well-crafted processes in your organisations. So examples, Manchester. Again, we were talking about this yesterday, the guys in Sunderland were saying they were starting to do a similar thing. You can start to use the data now to create a visual view of individuals and families. So although it doesn't show very well here, you've got a family here, and what you're able to do, what a social worker is able to do, or what another sort of a part of the council is able to do, is drill down into that family and start to see other dependencies. It could be information from the police, it could be information about school meals, it could be information for all sorts of other council services, but it starts to give you a profile of what their interactions are, and from that you can start to move from having to respond to that family when they flag up an issue or someone else does, to actually starting thinking about it preventatively. What interventions can you make in this family environment to actually be ahead of the game to stop something happening? A family that potentially is heading into a kind of crisis situation in 6 to 9 months based on what you know of previous cases, can you take interventions today to actually stop that happening? So Manchester are very ahead of the game there, and again on the Nesta side you'll find more information about that. In Birmingham, they've done around IoT sensors, so placing IoT sensors and other sensors around the city so that they can intelligently manage things like gritting. I've come across councils who are starting to look at waste management there. Periods you have IoT sensors in waste bins, so rather than just having a weekly collection, bins can actually be collected where it's needed. If a bin's not filled up for 4 weeks, why go back to it every week? So it's kind of, you start to bring some intelligence into your service delivery using things like IoT and other more sophisticated technology, I guess, to start making your service more tailored to the need rather than kind of one size fits all. So again, Birmingham doing that, I'm sure there are other councils as well. Bristol, close to where I live, they've got this, their frog. So one of the issues they identified through again engaging with the people of Bristol was particularly people in rented housing often suffered from poor conditions, damp, particularly damp traditionally then leads to sort of health issues and those sort of things. But again, in working with their landlords, there was a real issue of tenants not necessarily being able to get the case across. So as a pilot project, what the council did was they put together these sensors, designed them as frogs to make them a bit more, I guess, fun and accessible. These get placed in the homes, store data on a website, and then the tenants are able to go in and actually get data on the damp in the home, the temperature and that kind of thing. And then that then enables them to go back to their landlords and say, you know, we say there's a damp problem, by the way, here's the data. And I guess then they can bring in, you know, the accounts and those sort of things as well. So again, it's here, I think it's a very good tool, actually giving citizens, people, you know, consumers, I think some councils call people now, giving them the power to actually tackle issues themselves. It's one very good example of that. Kent have made very good strides in putting all their data together into a kind of big data repository, and then starting to use that in different ways to kind of verify what they're doing. So, for example, they've done with their fire and rescue services, they've done a lot of home visits. Bringing the data in has then enabled them to reanalyse the impact of that. So they've gone through an exercise, so if they've done all these visits, what's the impact? Is it worth doing more, less, or whatever? So again, here it's a case of using the data to start to, one, assess the impact of what you have done, but probably more importantly, start to shape what you should be doing in the future. It's a classic case of doing more of what works and less of what doesn't. It's a very good example of that. And then Newcastle were yesterday, another social care example, where here that the prime thing they were trying to do was embed the data analysts with the service teams. Going back to something I said earlier, trying to make that virtual circle between the service delivery, the data it collects, using that data and then shaping the service. So you're continually looking at how you shape the service, and as you do that, you'll end up becoming more and more proactive and preventative rather than reactive, or at least that's the theory. So Newcastle are doing that. And so Nesta's insights, and again I'm sure we'll come back to these during the session, these are the things that Nesta identified as where organisations are successful using data. And some of these apply for any projects, in fairness, particularly in technology. You start with a clear problem. It sounds an obvious thing to say, but I've come across in my own career so many times projects start without necessarily a very clear view of what we're trying to achieve. So do make sure you've got that. Get the support internally. At some point in any of these initiatives, you will need that top cover, you need top support, so make sure you get that in place. Or if you find it hard yourself, look for ways that you can. The classic thing is start small, and then make sure you can then get something that you can really evidence, and from that, then start to build. To start small and build is always the best approach in these situations. Clear out your objectives. Be realistic. Make sure you have got a financial process, a view of what you need. Do be clear on what staff you need. There's no, again, Sunderland yesterday, one of the things they identified a couple of years ago, they did need the data resources, so they've built a team now for data specialists in the organisation who can help fuel that kind of service, change the direction of things. So do make sure that you've got a view in terms of what resources things you need. Again, as we talked about, start small, but also do things in small, iterative chunks. Those you've been involved in DevOps type work, software development, move to more of a kind of sprint agile approach to doing these things. Make sure you've got access to the expertise, keep testing, always test with the end users, always look for impact, the impact it's having on the users, and iteratively develop things. So the more you can involve people in your communities, your stakeholders, people you work with better. To keep testing on that. Make sure you're using the data. It's interesting, I was reading something at the weekend, it's data, with data, it may sound obvious when you say, but you've got to look at data very objectively, have an open mind to be informed by the data, not necessarily your opinions and prejudices. And so it really is a case of making sure the data you gather, you use in a very clear and I suppose neutral fashion to shape what you're doing, so make sure you've got that mindset. And keep evaluating and what you're trying to do. Again, a lot of this goes together. Start small, drive it iteratively, make sure you've got the skills in place to deliver, make sure you understand the finances, and I guess at the end of the day, make sure you deliver something, even if it's small, that shows impact, so you can then build from that and create more and more impact as you go along. And that's me.